I was going to go ahead and get a request out of the way. Wallace and Gromit fan actually requested I go over this Nerdrotic video, and I didn't want to do it immediately after my Nerdrotic coverage, but there's been enough time now that I feel like we can kind of actually cover it. So let me get chat set up so I can see you guys, and then we'll load this up.
Everything they're working on is terrible and is not very good.
It's funny that people call it the X-Men. There's a lot of female superheroes in that X-Men group, so I think it's outdated.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of like indie press stuff.
So what I love about being a part of this universe is the diversity and the inclusion.
When you do Black Panther, you have a black director, black producer, you have a black costume designer, you have a black stunt choreographer, you have a black, and I'm like, that's more racist than anything else.
Nerdrotic.
Those are just like disconnected clips just cobbled together. Good work, Nerdrotic.
.com.
Disney Marvel's Kevin Feige doesn't think audiences will ever get tired of superhero movies from Variety, but quite frankly, I like the Direct's headline a lot better. Marvel boss Kevin Feige responds to superhero fatigue concerns. Superhero fatigue is something that's been talked about for a couple of decades.
I mean, it's worth noting that Kevin, like, superhero movies are like the Western. Westerns used to be really popular, now it's superhero movies. They will probably eventually burn out, although, you know, they'll still probably hang out, because we still occasionally even get a Western even to this day. That being said, Kevin Feige's whole business model is superhero movies, so he's not going to be talking about, oh yeah, superhero movies are dying. No, he's always going to talk about. That's literally his job.
But we're here to talk about MCU fatigue. Disney Marvel boss Kevin Feige was recently on a podcast getting softball questions where he vaguely addressed the concerns with the diminishing returns from Disney Marvel as a whole and the MCU, and then he immediately dismisses them. Or does he? We'll get to that in just a moment. To say superhero media is popular would be an understatement for those looking to get their fill of heroes.
No, I just used an old picture of him for that last thumbnail. He still has that beard. You know, I mean, I think it's useful for him because that way when he eats soup, you know, he'll still have soup available for like an hour later. If he's still a bit peckish, just get some soup off there. He's good.
Heroes. There's plenty of opportunity to do so. After all, 2022 alone saw over a dozen live-action superhero stories hit both the big screens and television.
The Direct, I'm pretty sure, is pretty much a Chud outlet, but let me look that up. Let's do the tests, shall we? Let's find out. The Direct, Chris Hemsworth, Taika Waititi. Yep, they look like a Chud outlet here. The Direct, Chris Hemsworth wants to move on from Taika Waititi's Thor, which was not what he actually said. Thor, Chris Hemsworth revealed his desire to move on from Taika Waititi's character. Yeah, no, this is all manipulation of Chris Hemsworth when all he said was he felt that he did feel like Thor needed a character change because he's done the comedy version, but it had nothing to do with Taika Waititi. He said he was pretty much on board with Taika Waititi. Wants to do another one. Just he just feels like the character needs to change up again.
Visions worldwide, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime.
Yes, it wasn't bounding the comics, so I guess. I don't know if anything gets as bad as bounding in the comics. Holy crap.
Soon. And they aren't kidding. The following was released last year. From Amazon, The Boys, The Samaritan. From DC, The Batman, Black Adam, Superman and Lois, Naomi, Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman, Peacemaker, The Flash, Stargirl, Titans, Doom Patrol, The Sandman, Pennyworth. From Sony Marvel, Morbius. From Disney Marvel, 2 specials, Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Black Panther Wakanda Forever,
Crap.
Thor Love and Thunder,
Crap.
Doctor Strange Mom,
Mega crap.
Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel.
I'll give you $200 for all of them.
Can't imagine why this subject is coming up at all after all that. But as I said, this isn't necessarily superhero fatigue as much as it's bad movie and...
Has anybody made the argument that there aren't a lot of superhero products being made now? I just wondering.
MCU fatigue. Again, this is an interview with his old USC film instructor who hosts the Movie Biz podcast, Secrets of Marvel Studios, with Kevin Feige. No, I'm not anticipating any hard-hitting questions, but let's hear from the man himself after a year of MCU failures and the CEO of his parent.
Well, I hate MCU. God damn it. You almost had me just saying it. Okay, MCU has not really had failures, though. It's been doing fine post-pandemic.
Company getting fired in the middle of the night on a Sunday at an Elton John concert.
This never gets old.
When asked what are the secrets of Marvel Studios,
Kevin Feige
has this to say.
There are no secrets. The secret is...
What a classy picture to put up there, Gary. That's classy right there.
There's secrets in terms of the storylines and spoilers and things like that. But if there was a formula, because people have been asking us for a very long time, what's the formula? And the truth is there isn't any.
bullshit.
Well, the interesting thing about DC is, DC is just not as popular, so they don't go after it as much. I'm trying to think. I'm sure they have gone after DC for stuff. Can't think of too much, though. Yeah, it's mainly Marvel just because Marvel's popular. Is this just a montage of guys getting beat up? Can Gary not handle that occasionally a guy gets beat up? Is that tough for him?
That was awesome.
I mean, we've had a fair amount of superhero movies, so you could probably keep this going the whole video, Gary. I don't know what your point is, though. I don't know. I mean, again, we're to Taskmaster, and these guys, I sort of need to let it go, because... the issue with Taskmaster is not that it's a woman. There's nothing about Taskmaster's character that can't be portrayed by a woman. It's just they didn't write it well. Taskmaster's supposed to be a cocky son of a bitch, and there's no personality to this Taskmaster. That's the issue with it. Oh, now we're just gonna have women popping up. That's not sexist at all. Very classy, Gary.
This isn't about you.
I think a better question is, do you have a plan? And the answer is clearly no, but they most definitely have a formula.
A number of years.
It seems like they kind of have a plan. I feel like so far, Phase 4, you can see what they're doing, especially now that Ant-Man's come out. You can kind of see that they were definitely revving up for Kang. It just took a while.
Ago. You know, when we became part of the Walt Disney Company, one of the many, many positive things that happened then is that we got access to all of the brilliant people at the other studios within Walt Disney Live Action and Pixar, and soon after Lucasfilm. So we could have these inside conversations with people. And I found it very therapeutic when the folks at Pixar, again, this is probably a decade ago, were sharing with us how hard they have to work on each project, and how at a certain point, everything they're working on is terrible and is not very good and needs to be shaped and worked and reworked. And I felt
That's probably the way it works for pretty much every movie.
Such a weight lifted off my shoulders, because that is what it was like for us and still is like for us.
I mean, there's a point in production of a movie where it's going to be garbage. there's a lot of work that goes into a movie, and just stopping it at random points, you're going to have kind of garbage until you mold it into the fully fleshed movie that will be released eventually. This would probably be true for every single movie ever made.
Us at Marvel Studios.
Well, I couldn't agree more with Kevin Feige there. To be fair, Kevin Feige says this is all part of the process and things work themselves out in the end. I wouldn't agree with that, but I can't help but think this is a reference to the VFX problems they've had. It's what.
Well, that's actually something I thought was interesting. So, Thor: Love and Thunder, not great VFX at all. She-Hulk, I thought actually mostly had good VFX, but there are a couple episodes that are spotty. Wakanda Forever, even though I didn't even like that movie, I thought the VFX in it were pretty solid. And we just had Quantumania, and that movie again had very solid VFX.
One thing to do some pickups and reshoots here and there, and it's another thing to reshoot a beginning, an ending, or an entire film. Considering they've reshot every single film and almost every single...
Reshoots are standard for a big budget movie. In fact, if you have the resources, you usually want to just schedule reshoots for any movie if you can arrange it, because there's almost always something that's going to go on in production that you're going to miss. And it's good to have a little bit of leeway to reshoot some stuff just to fix it up. It's just standard. There's nothing wrong with it.
D+ series in Phase 4. Marvel reportedly changed Black Widow's ending fight during reshoots. Shang-Chi reshoots reportedly beginning in LA next week.
Reshoots are normal for a big budget movie, dude. They're fucking normal. Get over it. They don't mean anything at this stage. They don't.
Eternals director says reshoots are a blessing. Disney Marvel reportedly refilmed.
I like how the woman director got the fancy voice. Nice.
Most of Doctor Strange 2. Thor: Love and Thunder undergoing reshoots.
That's actually pretty impressive. That Doctor Strange 2 was pretty solid.
Shoots with Christian Bale.
Oh, good.
Who gives a shit about reshoots, dude? As long as the movie turns out fine. If you don't like the movie, that's fine. But reshoots are just part of the process, man.
It's for you.
Black Panther: Wakanda Forever reportedly undergoing more reshoots. They're going to have to start putting nets outside the windows of these VFX facilities. And to all the shills who say all of these reshoot rumors are from alt-right-ists and phobes.
And for some reason, I just thought, well, all these other successful...
The reshoot rumors are from alt-right system. No, the reshoots are normal. You guys complaining about it is a bit much.
Places and people, it must just come out of their brains perfectly formed. And it's only us at Marvel Studios that has to grind and work and rework and rewrite.
We'll be talking about a little bit of the reaction to Quantumania tomorrow. Now, if you just want to know my opinion, I have that on the Organized Chaos podcast channel. That's up right now.
And recut and reshoot over and over again to make something work.
That may corroborate this. In a new report from Vulture, Disney Marvel is singled out for the studio's lack of organization in collaborating with VFX houses for slates of cinematic releases and D+ shows. According to an anonymous animator who worked on the past Marvel Cinematic Universe projects, one frequent issue that aggravates contractors is Marvel's request to alter endings rather than stick to what they initially agreed upon in pre-production. The animator explained, it's kind of like putting that last coat of paint on a car, and while you're putting that last coat on, you're trying to decide what color you want. They don't figure stuff out early enough. Listen.
Well, I think it's interesting he's pulling it from Comic Book Resource, and they're pulling from a resource from the Vulture. I don't know why he doesn't just pull from the Vulture.
I don't want to make it sound like these third-party VFX organizations that work for Disney are grabbing their lunch pail, putting on their hard hat, and going to the coal mine. They're dealing with pixels. Still, credit where credit is due. These guys are trying to polish an identity politics and intersectional feminism turd under unrealistic deadlines that Disney Marvel has.
What the fuck does that have to do with quality of a movie? You're just throwing out terms. Identity politics, intersectional feminism, what? It all equates to women and minorities in movie. Who gives a shit?
Has all the power over.
Are there specific lessons learned?
I think on every project we work on, we learn lessons.
Have you, though? Really?
You know, yeah, it's incredible to say that, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is our next feature that comes out in February, will be our 31st film. We've now completed over 10 series for Disney+.
Which were all varying degrees of pretty bad to awful.
And the fun...
Oh no, I thought Moon Knight was pretty good. I thought Loki was pretty good. I thought WandaVision was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know if you're in the majority opinion there, Gary.
Thing about starting to do ongoing narrative long form series was it was a whole new learning curve.
Would you mean, for example, learning how to make something like a television show and one that's coherent, that doesn't assassinate your legacy characters?
But I do think, and I'm sure an example will come to me.
I have an entire playlist of examples right here.
But I do think that on every project one works on, you need to take...
Yeah, Hawkeye was good too. That's another good catch, Whitney. Yeah, Hawkeye was solid.
Your lessons, and we do a post-mortem on every project, or at least we try to if we're not too busy with the next project.
Maybe they've just been too busy lately.
To sit and discuss what went right and what went wrong. And I remember we started doing that. We were asked to do it for the first time after Iron Man 1. And we call them post-mortems now. At the time, it was a what went wrong meeting. But it actually is great to sit and go, here's what was done, here's how we could have done it better. And
I like how Gary is just playing clips from this totally benign Kevin Feige interview and making a big deal out of him. He's saying nothing outlandish at all.
And we do that on every.
But he did tag a goofy picture to him, so there you go.
Project.
I have a suggestion. Maybe you need to do a what went wrong meeting with your what went wrong meetings.
Of what lessons is learned is entertain the audience at every turn.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
What about
the message?
Entertain first.
What is the message? Please answer me.
You can have as many beautiful messages and beautiful life.
Hell, knowing the way you guys have been acting recently, you might be watching. So whoever's watching right now, whether it be Gary or Eric or whoever, what is the message? Tell me.
Theories and beautiful thematics that you want to put into the world.
Oh yeah, it was another good catch, Whitney. Yeah, Miss Marvel was solid.
That all of us do and all of our filmmakers do, but if you're not entertaining first, it will fall on deaf ears.
Is it your time of the month?
I don't get my period, dipshit. I don't have a uterus.
Or ovaries.
Now, this is one of the quotes that a lot of people are keying in on for good reason, and hey, it sounds great. Except there are two ways you could look at it. That Disney Marvel is indeed going to focus on entertainment over identity politics and intersectional feminism, or they think they're doing that already. We've heard this.
Dude, outside of you guys, I don't see anybody else freaking out over the identity politics or intersectional feminism. Like, nobody else cares.
This kind of crap from Disney executives in the past, and words are...
Absolutely, Jalen. I would love Moon Knight. Moon Knight Season 2.
Wind. Change is indeed coming, but as I've said before, when it does come, Disney and its subsidiaries will be the very last to the party if they show up at all.
Now, how do you decide on the next phase?
Each of our sagas are broken into phases, and we now find ourselves on the precipice of phase 2 of the multiverse saga.
Okay, I hope you got that straight. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is going to start phase 5, which was supposed to be in phase 4, is also going to be phase 2 of the multiverse saga.
Yeah, no, he phrased it weird. Yeah, it's phase 5, phase 2 of the current saga. Yeah.
I'm so confused.
People are asking, well, how long is this going to last? What is this fad of comic book movies?
I mean, I understand, like, the first 3 phases ended with Endgame and Far From Home, and then you have phase 4 and phase 5, and this is the second of the new phase. Yeah, he could have worded it better, but you're purposely making it more dense than it needs to be, Gary.
Movie's going to end.
This is the other quote people are keying in on, and this is where
Kevin Feige
addresses the superhero fatigue and the bullshit starts.
And I didn't even really understand the question, because to me it was akin to saying after Gone with the Wind, well, how many more movies can be made off of novels?
There was a time prior to Captain Marvel, I would agree with that very poor analogy. Allow me to make one of my own using Gone with the Wind. Disney Marvel's current process of making films based on their comic books is akin to making Gone with the Wind for a modern audience. Pedro Pascal would play Rhett Butler, Elliot Page would play Scarlett O'Hara, and their roles would be reversed, and
why on earth? Wait, Pedro Pascal would play... What are you even saying, Gary? Elliot Page would be Scarlett O'Hara, but, like, no, because he would be Rhett Butler... Number one, Pedro Pascal is great in everything, so whatever. I'd be fine with him. So, I don't even know what you're saying, Gary.
RuPaul would play Mammy.
Do you think the audience will sour on movies being adapted from books? There are 80 years of the most interesting, emotional, groundbreaking stories.
80 years of stories that have sold millions of comics that you have mostly skipped to get to stories that have sold in the thousands.
Have been told in the Marvel comic, and it is.
Comic books are selling actually pretty damn well right now. A lot of it's digital format, but it's doing pretty well.
It's our great privilege to be able to take
Billy Porter, yeah, that's the name of the dude, yeah.
what we want and adapt them.
Take what we want and adapt them. Basically, Marvel in name only, although I need to stop dead naming Marvel.
That's what they do as filmmakers. They pick the stories they want to adapt and they adapt them, Gary. That's what the filmmakers do. Do you understand that, Gary? They're not going to go oh my god, I can't say the word. Sequentially, one by one through each and every issue of Marvel Comics. They're not going to do that. Cope, man.
Marvel, because it no longer exists. It died in 2009. It's only Disney Marvel now. And they were doing so well, but it all started with Nick Fury losing his eye to a kitty cat and turning
Hey, Roy, it's cool to see you in here.
Marvel into Annette Bening, which means you can adapt one of the greatest stories in the history of Marvel Comics.
It wasn't a very popular character. I don't know what to say, Gary. The Marvel Captain Marvel wasn't super popular. Carol Danvers Captain Marvel's been way more popular. So that's the route they went with for the movies.
Death of Captain Marvel.
But another way to do that is adapting them into different genres.
Again, something that sounds good in theory, and quite frankly, they were on their way to doing it in the beginning, but that's not what's really happening now, is it? Thanks to the MCU Stage 4, everything's been homogenized down into formulaic generic superhero person.
¿En qué superhero mostré?
You see, I am, like, if you don't like Phase 4, that's fine. But, like, the way he is always just, like, always complaining just because he sees a woman in the fucking frame. It's like, get over it, Gary. No.
That looks like something out of Sky High, but not nearly as good.
We can tell any types of movies that are merely share one thing, two things. The Marvel Studios logo above the title and a seed of an idea from our publishing history.
As I said, they're not adapting anything. It's just simply a seed of an idea.
Well, that's what adaptations are, and they'll take what they want from the story, whether it be a lot or a little, and make their own story. That's what adaptation is, Gary. I have yet to see a comic book movie that's 100% accurate to the source material. It just doesn't exist.
And that's how we get things like unrecognizable Namor,
like I said, I was a huge fan of Wakanda Forever, but I thought Namor was well done.
Gender swap Taskmaster, who was actually played by a dude, an insufferable Captain Marvel, played by an insufferable actress, Brie Lason, who got demoted in her own sequel, by the way. A joke of a Moon Knight,
Moon Knight was awesome, dude. Get a grip.
Beige color palette gobbledygook Eternals film that should have been a love letter to Jack Kirby. And
Eternals was underrated.
Underperforming generic Shang-Chi film starring a stock photo model that should have been rated.
He just doesn't like him because, Simu Liu? I'm certain I'm slaughtering his name, but he's pretty base and he called out Gary.
Rated R and an homage to Bruce Lee, introducing Miss Marvel, America Chavez, Ironheart, Echo, and Kate Bishop before Doctor Doom, the Silver Surfer, and the...
Yes, they're introducing those characters because they had rights to them. They've only had rights to these characters you're just bringing up for more recently, so it's going to take time to bring them up and get them out.
Fantastic Four. By the way, where is the casting for that film? And I think they're on their Fantastic Fourth director. After doing the impossible and making...
Well, you might not be aware of this, Gary. It seems like you're not really familiar with the movie industry. But in pre-production, pretty much everything can change and still end up with a pretty solid movie.
Captain America and Iron Man household names, you kill them off. Bringing back Daredevil only to have them...
Well, yeah, they don't want to be paying billions and billions for the actors to keep coming back. That's just a reality of the business, Gary.
Take the walk of shame. But I'm sure those CW writers are going to turn things around. Kevin Feige achieving his goal of having more female characters than male, creating the MCU.
I hate the MCU. It's such a stupid fucking name. They don't even have more female heroes than male characters. They aren't even there, so I don't even know what you're basing it on, Gary.
Destroying all the legacy characters to make way for all of the diversity and inclusivity, making the exact same mistakes as the comics and getting the same results. I don't make the rules. Bruce Banner is Hulk. Tony Stark is Iron Man. Steve Rogers is Captain America.
There's been lots of different Captain Americas. Get over it, dude.
Thor is Thor.
There's been a couple different Thors. It's mostly just Thor, though. But I mean, there's been other people that wield a Mjolnir and get the powers of Thor for a while. That's a thing that happens.
Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and Miles Morales is Miles Morales.
Yeah, this same old fucking line. Gary, get some new fucking material, bro.
Speaking of the publishing wing and your source material, how are those comic books doing?
Yes, Sam Wilson is Captain America.
Since Kevin Feige took over. It appears that the entire industry has fallen apart. The comic shops that are left can no longer rely on comic book sales to stay in business. The sales of creators.
Yeah, no, the issue with comic book sales is not that comic books aren't selling, it's that lots of people buy them from Amazon or buy digital copies. That's the problem with comic book stores. By the way, if you do have a local comic book shop, lots of people don't anymore, but if you do, and you like comic books, make sure to support them.
There's so much they've stopped reporting them. Looks like Comixology is dead.
That is true, Michael. He's complaining about comic book stores dying, but then he's talking about how they suck anyway, so like, pick a lane, Gary.
And manga is laughing. Maybe the video games are doing better. Ooh, it looks like the Avengers got canceled. And along with the Guardians of the Galaxy, it ended up costing Square Enix $200 million. Not to be outdone, D Plus lost $1.5 billion in streaming in a single quarter.
Oh, well, here's the interesting thing. I don't know if you guys saw, we did a Fandom Initiative stream on this. I think it was last week. But it's because they lost Cricket, I believe. They lost a shit ton of subscribers in India, and a lot of those, it's because they lost the rights to streaming Cricket, and a lot of people in India dropped out. Had nothing to do with Marvel whatsoever. I mean,
on Kevin Feige's watch and Bob Chapek's, but he got fired in the middle of the night on a Sunday.
I can do this all day.
That's okay, because here comes China to the rescue. Disney Marvel's gonna get those adult pretenders in line, and hell, maybe they'll have another opportunity for their parent company to thank a concentration camp. Oh, don't get me wrong, it's totally...
I mean, no, that was pretty shitty, but it happened once, it hasn't happened again. I don't know what you want them to do, Gary.
Fine for the adult pretenders to continue attacking the fans.
Adult pretenders. They're called actors, Gary. Move on. I love this face. It's a good face. He looks style. This is Gary in his natural state.
Paying customers, but don't say anything bad about the CCP. Just a reminder, Disney covered Chadwick Boseman's face on a poster for China.
Yeah, and you only pull this shit out, like, this was like, what, 5 years ago? Yeah, it's bad, Gary. But, like, this is old news, too.
That had Kevin Feige's name on it. If Kevin Feige would have moved on or retired after Endgame, he would have gone down as a legend. They would have renamed streets after him across America, and they would have renamed Hollywood Feigewood. But it looks like we have to break out that Dark Knight clip again.
Well, no, they wouldn't, but, you know, why is it important that he stepped down? Like, he's still doing a good job. What else do you want?
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Superhero films could have gone on for decades as long as they focused on the one thing that made them popular, their characters. Instead, they decided to lean into identity politics, which will put an expiration date on everything. But don't worry, Kevin Feige will be just fine as he continues to spam Disney Marvel content.
Well, Wonder of You, it's not that it's, like, old, it's that it's not relevant. Like, just talking about Disney and then talking about some past racism event, it's not relevant at this moment. And, you know, I want everybody to appreciate She-Hulk's butt at this moment, too.
Content that doesn't adapt or even honor the source material, it comes at the expense of it.
What did it cost?
Everything.
Nerdrotic.com.
Jesus Christ, that whole video was just going over that Kevin Feige interview where, like, he said, like, nothing. He said, like, nothing. He just did a standard crap.
books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.